This tiny little electric vehicle is the Hyundai Inster. It has a funny name and some funky styling, and it's a very interesting little offering, but the price is not little at all. I'm going to tell you what you need to know about the pricing and specs, the charging details, the ownership stuff, and the best alternatives to it too. So stick around. If you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the bell, and let's get to it. The Inster is available in a few different trim grades in Australia, and there's two different battery sizes as well. I'll get to all the battery details in a sec, but let's talk about the models that are on offer and the pricing too, because, well, it's a bit high for a little car like this. In fact, the entry-level one, which is this one here, the standard range, it starts at $39,000 plus on-road costs. So you're talking early 40 grands to get into one of these very small electric cars. Might not make sense straight away, and don't skip yet. I just want to give you the details on what you're getting for your cash. You're getting a fair bit, in fact, apart from maybe the wheels. They're 15-inch alloy wheels, but if you step up a bit, you get better ones. Anyway, I'll get to that in a sec, but you're getting LED lighting all around the car. You've got a pair of decent sized screens on the inside. You've got climate control, air conditioning, a heat pump, nice interior trim, but nothing too special in terms of the interior stuff. But you're also getting Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, connected services. Your sat-nav system is connected to the internet as well, and you can connect up to the car using an app too. So that's all pretty good. You get keyless entry, push button start, and a few other good features too. But if you step up to the extended range model, you're getting a bigger battery pack and you're getting better looking wheels. 17s, it costs a few $1,000s more. Seems to make a lot of sense if you do like the styling of it. Above that is the Insta Cross, and it does have some more hardcore looking elements to it and a lot more features for the cash too. You can get it with a sunroof or a roof basket, depending on what you like, but you're still getting different looking wheels, the rugged looking cladding on the outside, leatherette interior trim inside, heated and ventilated front seats, a heated steering wheel, ambient color lighting. So I do think that the Insta Cross might be the best version of the lot, but again, you'd be looking almost $50,000 for that version if that's what you're after. And well, there's some really good alternatives for that money or less. So if you're thinking in the $40,000 to $50,000 range and you want something that's practical and maybe not as characterful as this, but still a lot of fun and with some interesting interior stuff, the MG S5 EV could be a good choice for you. I drove it recently and I thought it was a fantastic thing to drive. It might not have as much power as some other rivals, but it does have a lovely interior, lots of space, plenty of practicality, and a great price tag with a 10-year warranty as well. But if you just want a little tiny electric vehicle and you want it to have charm and charisma, you've got to check out the Fiat 500e. The list price is still over 50 grand, but you'll get one for 40 or maybe even less, and it is a great little car for urban dwellers who don't need a lot of EV driving range. It could be a fantastic choice. And look, it doesn't have as good practicality as this car or many other cars because it's tiny and it's only got 3 doors. But if you are interested in something that's very small and electric, it could be the best choice that you could make if you can get a really good deal. Another great option you could consider is the Mini Aceman, and I really liked it. It has the Mini driving character to it. It's got great styling outside and in, and it's got 5 doors and practicality as well. So it could be a good choice for you if you're thinking, well, 50 grand isn't that much for you and you want something that's little and characterful. But I'd love to know what you would do. Would you pick this, one of those, or would you wait and see if the BYD Seagull is going to come? That's what I would be doing if I was looking for a compact EV, because I think it's coming and I think it's going to be cheap. Look, this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but if you've ever looked at a Suzuki Ignis and gone, oh, what a honey, this one could be right for you, I would say. These 15-inch alloy wheels, look, I haven't seen a set of 15s on a brand new car for a very long time, especially at this kind of money. And look, the weights are on the outsides of the rims. That is old school and it looks cheap in my mind. And look, I don't think this necessarily looks cheap in other ways, but it's not going to be to all tastes. But it is a very small car as well, less than 3.9 meters long, but a very long wheelbase. As you can see, those wheels are at each corner of the car, and it's pretty tall. So it does mean that there's good practicality on the inside, but we'll get to that shortly. Now let's have a look at the rear. You can see there it does have one of those strange rear door handles up high. I don't know why brands do that. Must be stylish to someone. But the rear end design I think is a bit chunky. Sorry about the flashy red lights. That's just to do with the frame rate of the camera, but that's better now. You can see those tail lights. They actually look pretty good, I reckon. You do get a rear wiper, which is a bonus, and the camera for the rear view camera is right there. Now let's have a look in the boot. And yeah, no electric tailgate, but there's more issues than no electric tailgate in this car, people. As you'll see here, these are dangling down because they attach to the back of the headrests, and this doesn't attach to the rear window. So that means that it just sort of gets in the way. In fact, it gets in the way so much, so I'm just going to get rid of it. It's actually annoying. Now, this setup is with the seats at their very rearmost position because they do slide to give you a bit more space, and there is a decent amount of space in there, but it's just a bit too complicated. They've made it hard for themselves when it could have been really simple. So there's these little plate sections here that are attached to the seat backs, and like you can do this and give yourself a bigger boot, but I don't know why they just didn't have a bigger boot. It just would have been simpler without all that complexity, but obviously there's a reason when you slide those seats forward, presumably. We'll see in a sec. But you've got space in there for, obviously, your charge cables and so forth. There's a tyre repair kit, no spare. So yeah, let's have a look at what it looks like with those seats slid forwards. Yeah, it looks like that, which is, you know, okay. And it's certainly a good amount of space, but as you can see, you can only really use it when that's out of the way, and it's all just a bit clumsy and a bit unfinished looking in my mind. They could have just made it simpler and got rid of those and just had a better design for this, in my mind. But obviously I'm not a car designer, I'm a car reviewer. Now let's go and have a look inside and see what it's like. So the interior of this Hyundai Inster, is it as funky on the inside as it is on the outside? Arguably not in this spec. It's a little bit black on black on black, but there are some great things about it. Look at all these buttons, people. Buttons, buttons, buttons. For your fan control, for your temperature control, for your air conditioning settings, for your recirc, all of it there. Happy days. Blank buttons there because this one doesn't have as many features as the high spec. And also here you'll see you've got buttons for your media system as well. You've also got a tuning dial, a volume dial, USB ports there. So you've got a USB A and C and a 12 volt, and you've got this big touchscreen media system up above, which is connected. So it does have things like weather, so you can keep an eye out on what's going to happen over the next week or so. There's also a way you can connect up your calendar. You can go in here and have a look at your EV stuff. If you want to maybe set your charging schedule, if you want to make sure you don't do too much when it comes to vehicle to load, because it has that as well. And it can also tell you where your nearest public charging location is. There's a much more to this screen as well. It's not overly deep, but I do think that it's pretty easy to get your head around. I like that about it. There's also things like a quiet mode, and that will just turn off the speakers for those in the back. And you've also got a sat-nav system. So it is a built-in nav system, and it is connected as well. So that is good to see. It can give you traffic updates and so forth. And look, this car does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it's not wireless. You have to use a cable, USB-A cable, to get on CarPlay, which is a bit behind the times. Now over here you've got another screen, a digital instrument cluster for the driver with plenty of information on board. You can jump through things like compass, you can go into a bit of info there, and also have a look at what's going on with your safety systems on that part. And yeah, more menus, more controls, digital speedo, range guide, all that sort of stuff. And on that side you'll see there, that's the dynamic range calculator. You've also got a digital speedo there. You can see the range percentage left in your battery, and over there you'll see the setting that I've got set for the regen braking. So there's paddle shifters, and you can adjust the regen using those paddle shifters. You can put it into I-pedal, which is a single pedal driving mode, or you can make it more lenient if you want to by adjusting with the paddle shifters and making it a little bit more easygoing. Now this little guy with the purple eyes that you might have just seen, that's your driver monitoring camera, and I'll tell you what it does wrong soon. And when you press this button down here, the drive mode controller, you can see you get some different illustrations that happen on the screen there. The most exciting one is when you put it in sport, but I don't really drive this car in sport because it's not a sporty car in that way at least. Now, here on the steering wheel, you'll find you've got some piano black finishes. They're a bit fingerprinty. You got knurled rollers for your volume and other menu controllers over here. Cruise control stuff there. That's that drive mode controller. You've got your wipers on this side. You've got blinkers and lights on that side. And you've got a gear selector that comes off the column, which is a little bit strange. It might take a little bit of getting used to. And also down here, there's your electronic park brake, which you might need to put on occasionally. Sometimes it'll put into park for you. Other times it does seem to just not do that. Now, let's have a look at some of the other elements of this cabin. So let's touch these elbow pads. That's not good. The soft part is there. That's the hard part. They've got it the wrong way around, people. I don't know what these are. They're strange, and I'm not sure I like them. This is all hard plastic too. It feels cheap. And look, the steering wheel doesn't. It's got a nice leather finish. These are quite small, but they do slide, so you'll be able to get them in the right position if you're driving with the sun at the side. But they also have lighting up there. You don't get auto lighting for your vanity mirrors, so you have to remember to turn them off. You've got no auto dimming rear view mirror either. It's a flicky mirror. And up here, you've got your SOS button for your connected services. Now, these seats do have some interesting trim as well. It's a cloth finish, and I actually like this trim. I like this pixelated boxy thing that's happening on here as well. It sort of mirrors what's happening with this. That's actually Morse code for the letter H, which is kind of cool. And yeah, there's also an armrest, which is kind of neat between the seats there, so you can sort of rest. And down there's a pair of cup holders, which move when you move the seat. So does the armrest. It's all a bit peculiar, but it's kind of interesting in a way, I would say. And down here, you'll see you've got a wireless phone charger. The little light indicates that it's working. There's a handbag hook or shopping bag hook there, and a little cubby there, plus a power point, which is very, very nifty. And look, I do think that for the most part, it's a pretty nice cabin. A bit sort of cheap feeling in some ways, but nice in others. Now let's check out the backseat space and see if it's roomy. Is it roomy? Yes, the answer is yes, it is. Look how much legroom I've got, and look how much, well, I've got a bit of footroom underneath the seat, but the thing is, it's roomy because the rear seats slide. So if I put the seats all the way forward, that's sort of where they are with that seat set for my 6 foot tall driving position, and that's not comfy. So if you need to prioritize boot space, you might need to maybe not have tall passengers in the back. Now, headroom is actually pretty good in this car because it's tall and it's boxy, and you've got some amenities back here, including these grab handles, little hooks. There's one light in the middle, not on the sides, which is maybe not ideal. And I do like this sort of etched finish on the headliner, but look, there's some shortcomings back here, people. You don't get map pockets. You don't get directional air vents. You do get little sleeves in the doors, but they're not very big. Still plasticky bits everywhere on the doors, so maybe they're good for grubby kids, but not for grown-ups. But you do get ISOFIX points in the window seats, and there's only 2 seats, so they're both window seats, and you get top tethers for them as well. You can recline these seats a little bit as well if you want to make it a bit more comfy. It's kind of an interesting way of thinking about back seat experience, because in some ways it's really great. In other ways, it's really not. Under the bonnet of the Inster, there's a couple of different options. So the standard range model has 71 kilowatts and 147 Newton meters. It's a single electric motor, single speed transmission, front wheel drive. And then if you choose the extended range or the Insta Cross, you get a little bit more power, 84.5 kilowatts. Same amount of torque though, but the extended range models are a little quicker, 0 to 100. Not quick at all, but a little quicker than the standard range ones. And obviously 0 to 100 is not what this car is all about. It's more about zippiness and urban friendly driving, but what about the range considerations and the charging stuff you need to know? Let's talk about it now. So there's a standard range version of this car, which is this one here with a 42 kilowatt hour battery pack. And then there's the extended range one, which has obviously a bit more range to it. It's a 49 kilowatt hour battery pack. They're both NMC battery packs, or nickel manganese cobalt, and they are typically not as well considered by EV evangelists, let's say. NMC is a bit of an outdated tech compared to LFP, which does seem to have better reliability in the longer term and better rechargeability as well. And it's also cheaper. So that might be a consideration. Now, your charge port is here. It's not the ideal location, I don't think, because, I mean, this is going to be a city car. What happens in cities? Nose to tail crashes. That's not going to be great for that, is it? So just don't crash it, I guess. Now, you've also got some pretty good charging specs for this car. So AC at a maximum rate of 10.5 kilowatts. You'll need 3-phase power in order to be able to achieve the very speedy charging time of about 4 hours, but then there's the DC consideration, 120 kilowatts for all versions, which is pretty good, I have to say, and it means 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. So look, the charging stuff is on point for this car. The charging location, maybe not as on point, and the battery specs, well, you'll have to make up your own mind. All right, let's talk about the drive experience in the Inster. First and foremost, really like the handling. It does have a very impressive level of dynamism to it, this car. Even this base one, which is on 15-inch wheels with high profile, not sporty tires, it does have a great driving fun factor to it. It's just really easy to steer. It points and goes where you want it to, and the ride comfort is very good as well. That means that, well, it's got good balance, it's got good control, it feels well sorted in corners, and it does have a relatively long wheelbase for a little tiny car, so it does sort of feel a bit go-karty. It's a bit fun. Like, actually, it's more than a bit fun. It's actually good fun to poke around in town, to go through some twisty sections of road. Now, while it does have very good steering in most situations, one thing that isn't as good as it could be is the turning circle. For a little car, it does have a pretty big turning circle, and there's annoying stuff when it comes to parking as well. It goes really heavy when you're trying to change direction in, you know, 3-point turn situations. It goes heavy and gluggy feeling. And because it's got a long wheelbase, it actually has a worse turning circle than you would expect for a car that's so small. And it's also pretty pokey as well. Like, when you put your foot down, it does snap you back in your seat a little bit, and that's just in normal mode. There are a few different drive modes to consider as well. And of course, being electric, it does have good instant torque, and that means that in stop-start situations, you might be able to quickly zip in between gaps in traffic and so forth, and it will make it a lot more, well, zippy feeling. And of course, there's also regenerative braking as part of this setup. So there's paddle shifters on the steering wheel, so you can adjust it to be more assertive. You can even put it into I-pedal, which is like single pedal driving. So it will come to a complete stop just like that. And if you're in traffic and you don't want to do the tedious thing of going from accelerator to brake, you can just cruise on the accelerator on and off, and it's actually really, really good. And the brake pedal feel, if you do need to use the brakes, is not bad, and doesn't feel heavy either. Lots of other EVs do. This is not a heavy EV, but yeah, I like this drive experience to a degree. It gets to the point though where there's things that might get on your nerves. So it has all the active safety tech that you would expect in a modern day car. And in some other cars, that means, well, things are pretty well managed. But in this car, not as good as it could be. And that's because it's got a driver monitoring camera system right there, which is supposed to tell you if it thinks you're distracted. It's got it wrong multiple times. When I've been looking straight ahead, it's gone, oh, you're being distracted. Nope. But also, the more annoying thing is the speed sign recognition technology, which if you go into a new speed zone, or what it thinks is a new speed zone, that's an important point, because it's getting it wrong very, very often, including on the motorway, where it thinks that the digital signage on the M4 in Sydney says 70, not 110. It means that it will bing and bong at you, and that can get on your nerves. And it'll also bing and bong at you if you're speeding in that zone that it thinks it is, even if it's not that actual speed that it thinks it is, if that makes sense. So what I'm trying to, there we go. What I'm trying to say is, it gets it wrong too often, and turning it off is not simple enough. Lots of other cars now have quick settings, so you can basically have a custom mode where you drop down on the screen and tap it, and that's it. it'll go back to your favorites. This car doesn't have the capability to set favorites. And that means that instead, if you do want to turn off the systems in this car, you can set up a button on the steering wheel to take you to the screen, but you still have to press it like 7 or 8 times before it will actually be at a level that might not give you the shits. And look, you might be fine with the technology that's on offer here. You might actually find it helpful for you if you live somewhere where it doesn't get the speed sign stuff wrong, and maybe it reads your eyes better than it reads mine. But look, I do think, despite the fact that it has a really good drive experience, that integration of the technology could be a deal breaker for some. It probably would be for me. Okay, what about energy consumption then? Because, I mean, it's a little car with a relatively little battery, so what's it like in terms of the kilowatt hours per 100 Ks? Well, there's a couple of numbers to consider. So the standard range one, this one, that number's on your screen now. And then there's the number for the extended range and the Insta Cross models, which you'll see on screen now. And look, if you can achieve that, I think you'll be pretty happy. On my test, which has been including a lot of the sort of driving you might do, urban, stop-start, highway, freeway, commuting, daily drudgery, you'll see what I've seen on your screen, and that's okay. It's not as good as some other EVs I've driven, but not as bad as some others either. There's no ANCAP or Euro ANCAP rating for the Hyundai Inster yet, but it does have a whole host of active safety technology to, in theory, achieve a very strong rating. Things like autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist and junction detection. There's lane keeping assistance, emergency lane keeping. You've got adaptive cruise control with the traffic jam assist feature so it can stop, start and steer for you. You've also got blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. And there's a reversing camera, no surround view camera, and parking sensors too. So some of the stuff you would expect and some of the stuff that might give you the shits. Like I mentioned in the driving section, the driver monitoring camera system and that speed sign recognition system, which you have to turn off every single time you drive the car if you don't like them. Well, it could be annoying for some people, I would say. You might be fine with it, but I'm not. Okay, so there's 7 airbags fitted to this car. They've got dual front side, a front center airbag to prevent head clashes, and also curtain coverage for both rows of seats. In Australia, Hyundai offers a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty for the vehicle, and then for the battery pack in EVs, there's an 8-year warranty. Now, servicing is every 2 years or 30,000 kilometres. That's great if you don't like going back into the service centre. And also, the service costs are okay. $650 or so for each service for the first 2. That's all they've confirmed at this point in time. And I mean, that's 60,000 Ks into the future, so it's not too bad. If you do service with Hyundai, you'll get roadside assistance topped up each time as well. So that's good to note, I would reckon. Seems like it should be a pretty easygoing prospect when it comes to the ownership factor. The Hyundai Inster is definitely a cute little car with lots of character, and look, it packs a lot into a small space, but it also has some big issues in terms of the price, and also the safety technology integration isn't as good as it could be in my opinion. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Would you pay 40 grand plus for a little car like this? I'd love to know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you when I see you.